Hey, this is Chris with Phoenix Gaming. We're going to be starting our news segment now, so hopefully everybody enjoys it. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through different companies and touching on their releases, what to expect from them, if there's any updates, stuff like that. And what I'm going to try to do is kind of go through the big-ish or bigger companies to start with, and then if there's something you want me to cover, make sure you let me know. Obviously, we're going to be touching on Games Workshop because they're pretty much the biggest, and Mantic, and then a couple of companies that I follow. And then, like I said, if there's something you want me to start adding into here, let me know, and we'll get it in. Before we dig in, here's some announcements. Veerman Specialist video is coming next week. I do have the Greylock Warlords of Erewhon supplement up on my website finally. It's not complete, but the work is being done to get it complete. I'll post a link to that in the description if you're interested. And then obviously my merch store is getting more and more product. I'm going to be adding more by the end of the day, probably the weekend too. We'll be adding the warlords, the old world executioners, my Blood Bowl team, and we're actually going to be working on kind of doing a sort of bolt action order dice port for that as well. So there's one of those things like we're just trying to find ways to make games more interactive. So again, if you're interested, keep following. Okay, so we're going to start off with Games Workshop. You know, like I said, they are the biggest, and we'll start with the biggest of their stuff. Featured news. Um, Obviously, we need to talk about the Eldari Phoenix Lords announcement. If you haven't seen it, Eldari miniatures revealed. I'm not going to go through the video. You can watch that. It's real easy to find, but we do have... They're so good looking. Gosh dang. We do have Osterman, and he looks fantastic. Also, just an incredible model. I will say there's some things I've noticed about some of their newer releases, and I'm not knocking on Games Workshop for this because it's their digital sculpts, so it allows them to kind of reuse assets, which saves time. I'm not knocking anybody, but we are recycling. If you look at this, this is Drazar, right? Like if you look down here, that's just Drazar. So again, I'm not putting them down as a company. I'm not putting anybody down. It's just a detail that had caught my eye, and he's the character that goes in with Dire Avengers historically. So that's who he is. If you don't know, I'm not going to dig into the lore on him. I'm not a lore expert. I just know that that's a gorgeous model, and I know a couple of Eldar players that are going to be super happy. We got some Swooping Hawks and Baharoth, and that's Baharoth right there. Big shout out to my buddy Austin, who plays Eldar, and every time we play, if he has him, he does a Hank Hill Baharoth, which is, it's just kind of become synonymous with the character in our play group because of Austin. Love it. Again, another gorgeous model, and this is why, you know, even when I did my review of Old World, which I'll try to remember to put a card in if you're interested. I did a review of Old World, and one of the things that I said was GW may not be the best at making rules, but I still feel like they are probably putting out some of the best models. My only point of contention about this model is if you look right here by his foot, that is your point of contact. I would probably try to find a way to pin that, or homie's gonna break. Like, oh my gosh. As gorgeous as this model is, that's absolutely awful. And then, like I said, we've got the Swooping Hawks. And I'm super excited for Eldar players. You know, they've had so many kits that were still in resin or metal, and they really needed a range refresh. So I'm excited that they are finally getting it. Regardless of whether or not I play a ton of 40K anymore, really happy to see fans of this army getting the refresh that they really needed. Warp Spiders, also incredible. Oh my gosh, these are fantastic. So I haven't looked at any of this. I have intentionally avoided looking up news just so I could look it up when I did this segment. Holy cow. That is incredible. This has got to be the character. Let's dig in. Lycus, also known as the Whispering Web, is a daredevil who embodies Kane's willingness. That is a fantastic model. And that is fantastic design. Like, that is simply gorgeous. I love it. Like, I would get that if I were a good hobbyist, if I were a good painter, I would get that model just to paint it. But I'm not, so I probably won't. And then we've got the actual warp spiders here, which, again, I really like the update. I think they look great, and once again, I'm super happy for Craft World players, Eldar players, getting those updates because they're stunning. Stunning. So that's the main thing we wanted to touch on. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got the daily detachments for December. We'll kind of touch on that. And, so Christmas, Grotmas, Sanguinalia, whatever you want to call it, blah, 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 blah. It looks like, starting from the 1st of December to the 24th of December, they're going to deliver new detachments for each and every faction in Warhammer. They will not replace any of your codex detachments and will remain compatible with any codex that is still blah, 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 blah. So basically what we're getting is we're getting 24 different detachments, one for each faction. And if you're excited about it, cool. I'm excited for you. As a person who's not super high on 10th edition, to me, this doesn't fix anything. And sure, maybe it wasn't intended to. Maybe it was just intended to be like a little bonus Christmas treat. But what I see is you have certain armies that are just bad. And that doesn't mean they can't win games. It just means that they're bad. Like their data sheets are bad. Maybe some of their rules are bad. And, obviously as a Drukhari player, like I feel like that army is just bad. Now, can it win games? Yes. Can it score points? Yes. But that doesn't mean it's good. It's a lot of very uninteractive or very boring play styles in which you're putting Cabalites on the table, spreading them out to move blocks, stuff like that. You still have a whole witch cult section that's just bad. You can bring it, you can make it playable in the new detachment. And to me, like, the detachments aren't fixing the issues with the game. They're just kind of band-aiding it. And I'd much rather see data sheets get fixed than extra detachments. But that doesn't mean you can't be excited for this, because there could be some neat stuff in there. Maybe we get a Witch Cult detachment, which is really what I'm waiting for to play test and see if it's going to bring me back into 10th. I've barely played much 10th. I've done a couple of events. I came in like 5th or 4th at a RTT with some guard. I've won a couple of competitive leagues with my Drukhari, but by and large, I'm just not interested in playing 10th. I've branched out into other games, as everybody knows. So maybe there's going to be something in here that makes me go, hey, this is what I want. Like, let's give it a try. And the first one comes out, I think on Monday. So we'll see what it is. If I had to guess, let's see. If I had to guess, it's going to be some sort of Imperium. Probably some sort of Space Marine detachment. Although they may save that for like one of the last ones. But we'll see. That's my guess. Let's see. Anything else in here we really want to... Astra... Oh, yeah. And let's dig into this. Because there's a ton here. As you can see, when you look at the Warhammer community, there's just a ton. And I could do a whole episode just covering this stuff. I don't want to do that. So we're going to do the Krieg release, and then we'll move on to the next company. There's a huge Krieg release. Oh, no. It's only in video? That's the poopy duty. Nope, here we go. You just got to be smart. And that ain't me. Also, now I am building a Krieg army. Not Krieg, a Guard army. It is a hobby army. It uses a mixture of third-party models, GW models, 3D prints, and some bits, because I want it to be very American looking. So odds are I won't be picking up any of this because it doesn't fit the theme of my army. Like, this is a themed army for me, so I'm not in a big rush. But I will say, like, that guy's super cool. The Lord Marshal, I'm real glad that they are getting an update, a refresh. Hopefully that means Catachans will in the future, because again, with me going a more American aesthetic, I am running mostly Catachans just because they have that, like they were modeled after, like Vietnam era Americans, the Predator, stuff like that. Uh, they wear their influences very heavily on their sleeve. So, but man, these are gorgeous models. Like I would consider getting these, and I like that they actually have robotic horses. Uh, the idea of just like horses in the 41st millennium seems kind of weird, but all in all, like these are super dope, and I love them. They're pretty cool. Obviously, we've got more Kriegsmen. Are these combat engineers? Yeah. And then we've got, what are these, heavy weapons? What do we got here? There's Krieg, besides their willingness to... Artillery batteries, okay. I just wanted to see if this was a heavy weapons team. But I think this is more like the artillery like you get in, I think it's the combat patrol, the bigger based ones. The army set also comes with the accessories you know and love, a full set of 66, blah, 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 blah. The brand new codex. So the codex comes out. It will be locked behind the box probably initially. That is something GW historically has shown to do. The Orc box was locked, or the Orc codex was locked behind the Beast Naga box for a bit. Stuff like that. And it is what it is. Like, I understand why they do that. This is such a cool kit right here. Commissar. Man. Fire coordinator. Okay. Classic command squad, including medical personnel. And, okay, it is a commissar. I thought that's what it was. That's cool. Like, I would get that box just to have it. Like, that is awesome. Heavy weapons teams, it looks like. Yeah. Astra Militarum. So that's super cool. Again, this is such a good release. I'm not mad about this at all. And not that I would be. Like, I'm not disappointed, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like, this is a good preview. This is a good release. These are excellent. So let's jump from here. Let's see what non-40K stuff we can look at. Let's see. AOS. And I don't really dabble with AOS. I used to in third. I don't dislike fourth. But as I've kind of like cleaned up, I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. And I'm not really sitting on much for AOS at this point. Just because, A, it's too many games. B, it's a fun game, but it's not what I'm looking for, I've had a good time when I've played it, but it's just not what I'm looking for in a fantasy game. World Championships preview. So we've got Oryx, reinforcements for the Orc War Clans, and then we've got the Git mob, prepare to race. So I'm guessing this is some goblin stuff. We're not going to dig too deep into it. Just know that it's coming. Let's see. Make your vow with new Dark Oath Raiders Spearhead box. I don't know what the Dark Oath Raiders are. Let's look at that. And AOS players will know much better than I do. I'm not even going to pretend like I know. Because like at a glance, this looks like Chaos. And maybe it is. Roving bands, blah, 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 blah. Once per turn. Oath to Darkness. It is. Okay. It looks very chaosy. So we've got some rules. Previews, it looks like, and they've got their own box. They're cool. I like the models. Again, it's just, like I said, for me, it's just not what I'm looking for in a fantasy game. And that was over a week ago that that's announced. Let's jump back. I'm not going to dive into Heresy unless you guys decide you want me to. Just let me know. I'm not really going to dive into Old World. Just know that the Empire was announced as the next army. Kill Team has a new edition coming out. We all know that. And then I think let's look at Middle Earth. That is such an underrated game. If you haven't played the Lord of the Rings games, you should check them out. They're actually super fun. Army building in the new edition. So we've got a new edition, which I didn't know. So that's good to know. I'm sure I heard it somewhere, but like I just kind of flushed it out of my head. Let's see. Bride of Death. Army building in the new edition. Key changes in the new edition. Let's look at the key changes in the new edition. We spent countless hours. Okay. Reworked profiles. Every single profile has been reworked. Every single one. Some have had very minor changes, while others have had an overhaul. The aim here has been to make each character or warrior feel closer to how they appear in the movies and the books. Many of the original characters lack the kinds of special... Okay, so basically it sounds like, according to this, they rework things to make people feel more lore accurate. I hate using the word lore. It makes things sound way more serious than they are. Although with Middle-earth, it's arguably a reasonable statement. Oh, let's zoom this in. I don't have my glasses. Oh, God, maybe not. Ring of Bahir and a half, and a hand and a half weapon. A half... God, Jesus. Ring of Barahir, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce it. This unique piece of war gear, whenever Aragorn is affected by a magical power after any resist tests have been made, he may roll a d6, and on a 6, he's not... Okay, so he's just got a magic resistance type of deal. Fellowship, Hero, Infantry, Unique, 25 millimeter, Might, Will, Fate. Options, Flame of the West. Ooh. Elven, hand and a half weapon. Whenever Aragorn makes strikes with Underil, he never requires more than a 4-up when rolling to wound. If Aragorn uses Underil as a two-handed weapon, then he still gained a bonus of +1 when rolling to wound. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Again, I don't have the context of the new edition, but I understand a little bit about the game, and that's a pretty meaty change. Like, he's pretty good. I've not played it in a long time though, so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. Does this tell us when it launches? And so you can see here, it's somewhere in between a skirmish game and actual full-size war game. Like, you do get squads, but you also get heroes. So it's kind of wild. And you can blow it up. Like, I've seen people do massive battles with it. The older editions of the games don't really, like, they get a little weird when you make them very big. But I will say, by and large, it does blow up fine. And it is playable. I'll be curious to check this out. I do like Lord of the Rings. My biggest really issue is that it doesn't have a community here. And, I think that's going to be everybody's issue, is it just, like, if you don't have a community, it's kind of like, again, like what I said for Old World. If you don't have a community for it, it's going to be tough to build one, just because it's a very specific or niche game. And even the rules, if this is anything like older editions, even the rules are going to feel weird, because there's a lot more just like bullying and positioning and pushing than there is just instant model removal. So again, it's kind of a weird game. So if you have a community, it's worth getting into. If you have to build a community, make sure you have a community that's invested and interested before you start dumping your money into it. So new edition of that coming out. That's pretty cool. So let's go to Mantic now. And really what I should have done, I have all of their news coming, right? So they have a Worms game coming out. Let's check it out. Actually, this is their Black Friday pre-orders and deals. It's Black Friday weekend. Let's check out what's available. Roll die, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. All right. Discounts do not stack with other offers. Main web store only. One roll per 24 hours. I'm not going to roll. Just because I don't want to mess it up, right? Like, maybe I get something, maybe I don't. Terrain crate mats are pre-order special offers. So these are gorgeous. And they're 15% off. I don't know how much they actually cost. These smaller mats should be dead zone. Let's take a look. Open image in new tab. No. All right, I was hoping. Let's see. Again, they're very nice, and they should be, the bigger ones should be like the big full-size ones, like you get the old Warhammer mats, the 6 foot by 4 foot. And then these should be dead zone maps. I assume... Oh, these are 60 by 44. Interesting. I'm glad I clicked on that. These are 60 by 44, and they're labeled as 40K mats. Oh, I don't want pounds. Give me the dollar bills, yo. Or don't. Dollars? No, that's not where we're at. Okay. Well, I guess it doesn't want to show me the dollars. There we go. Now it's doing it. Nope. Oh well. So they're like $1 million, I guess. I'm not gonna pretend to know. Let me see if I can just switch it here, and then yeah, all right. It just doesn't like that I'm American. That's fair. A lot of people don't like Americans. But again, I found it weird. They have the 40K size mats. But here's an actual 6x4 foot. And they're the same price. So that's cool. And 15% off, I believe, was what that had said. No, that's not the right one. Oh, I messed up. I'm a goose. Open a new tab. Let's do that. And we can close some of this out. Bam. But yeah, I believe it was 15% off if you order it. Let's see, 60 pounds. If I had to guess, they're going to be like $80. And that's assuming like, that's my assumption, is it's probably going to be about $80. I could be wrong. But then again, 15% off. Objective markers. Now these are 6 inches in diameter. So these are more like the older AOS ones. Let's see. Neoprene gaming templates. These are just like terrain and stuff. Which these are handy. I like having these. 2 foot by yep, neoprene battle mat. So this should have the grids on it. I don't see them. Yeah, they're there. Okay. So again, if you I've seen a lot of Halo players going like, what do we do for boards? What do we do for boards? This is it. You can just get a dead zone mat, and it works the exact same way. You can actually get like 2 or 3 of them, make bigger boards. There's companies that do 3D printed square tiles. Somebody had mentioned that Hobby Lobby has 3-inch wooden squares, and you can just kind of glue those on a mat or a table or something. You know, so you have a bunch of options. But if you want something like neoprene and nice, there it is. And then Worms the board game. Looks fun. I like Worms the video game, so I would be willing to check it out. I feel like I'd be the only one in my house that would want to check it out. They've got a vault sale, so that's cool. Bam. Let's see. Armada news. Force of the Abyss is coming. Halo oddball gameplay. Okay, so this is old, right? Like 11.6. So we're not going to keep going because a lot of this stuff is a little bit older. But I will say, if you haven't played Halo, check it out. It's a fantastic game. If you've played Dead Zone, it's going to be fairly similar. I've not played a ton of Dead Zone, but it's the Dead Zone skeleton with some tweaks to make Halo feel like Halo. If you're a big fan of the video games, I've played all of them. I love them. I still play them with my kids regularly. Except Halo 4. I don't love that one. I actually kind of hate that one. Halo 5 is okay. Halo Infinite gets my love. I've enjoyed my time with Halo Infinite. 4 and 5, I don't love them. I just don't want to misrepresent myself. There's no love there. But I do love like 1, 2, 3, ODST, Reach, all of those, and I love Infinite. It's pretty fun. It does capture the feel of playing Oddball or Slayer, like actual multiplayer. It does a great job of capturing that feel, and it is a blast. So if you can, check it out. I highly recommend it. Let's see. And we're just going to cruise through here. I think that's going to be about it for Mantic, because they haven't announced a ton of new stuff. They did announce that like the Banished are coming this year in 2025. Tournament rules, I believe, are coming in March, like points-based list building for Halo, stuff like that. So there are things coming, but again, most of that's been announced long enough ago that I'm not going to like rehash it. And then, bam, we're going to do Warlord Games. They make Bolt Action for those that don't know, and it's just bouncing me to the U.S. store. Black Friday Mystery Box. Up to 50% off. Well, I might be doing some shopping today. Actually, I need to anyway. I've got to buy some Christmas presents still. Contact, pre-orders, Bolt Action. I just want news. Do we not have just a news page? Let's check the community and resources. Articles. And they may not do it. Okay. And Bolt Action 3rd edition is out, if you didn't know. Bolt Action's fun. I don't know. It's one of those games, like, I enjoy playing it, but I don't go out of my way to play it. I have enough going on. But this is also the company that does Warlords of Erewhon, which I've touched on. So we'll kind of dig into that here. Let's see, November 20th and 26th. So right here, they talk about tank action, armored tactics, and bolt action. So that's pretty cool. And dead armor, anti-tank, tactics, and bolt action. So again, this is mostly just like how to play stuff, like how to make things work, some hobby stuff. This isn't so much news, it doesn't look like. There's gotta be YouTube, Twitter. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Paints and hobby. So this is, if you've never been on their website, this is everything they make, though. And so, like, mythical and fantasy. Oh, come here, you. Warlords of Erewhon. This is the game I was talking about. Like, this is what I've been playing. And then they have Mythic Americas, which I assume is just another Warlords of Erewhon type of thing. But it uses the order dice of bolt action. Fun game. Did a review on that one. And it's actually done very well. So it's worth checking out. If you've got fantasy models that are just like taking up space, it's worth checking out. I don't see a basically just like condensed news section. So I'll do a better job next time I talk about them of kind of finding out where their news is and really trying to distill that into, a readable format. And then War Games Atlantic. So these guys, do we have any news? Articles and news. So they do neat stuff like one box war game competition round 1. So that's kind of cool. Black Friday sale. Let's see what their Black Friday sale is. They're mostly, I think, models. They do probably have rules for a lot of their stuff, but everything I've seen from them is just like, I don't know. As far as rules go, the Black Friday sale. Let's see. The Black Friday collection page. So let's take a look at the Black Friday collection page. Pick and mix 3 or more products, 77.5, 15, 25. Okay. So it's just like buy a bunch of stuff, get a percentage off. So that's cool because I actually need to get some things and I may end up getting them here instead. We'll take a look. But again, I expected a little bit more news. There's not a ton of news here. So that's probably where we're going to stop it because this is going to be an already kind of like longer video. And I will continue to work on how I structure these. I'm still kind of learning. This is a whole new concept or format for me. So again, we'll always cover GW. We'll cover Mantic. I will make sure we do a better job of getting the news kind of collated. And I will find some other companies. And if there's news that you want to see, if there's companies that you want to see, maybe like an obscure company that makes a game that you like very well. I don't have a huge reach, but I can maybe cover that and use what little reach I have to maybe kind of like broaden the player base. That's kind of what I had intended on doing with Warlords of Erewhon, but it looks like Warlords of Erewhon actually has a pretty dedicated fan base, which is pretty cool. And while we're on that topic, nope. Actually, let's get out of here. While we're on that topic, I had mentioned so this is my website. You can kind of ignore this. This is a lot of. I used to post all my short stories and writing because I like to write. I used to post it all to this website, and then I've since uh, moved it over to its own dedicated website. But if you look up here, you click on Greylock, and there's some links here. Here's again the link to my review of Erewhon. There's the link to the PDF if you want to buy the game. I recommend it. I don't get any kind of commission for it. I think it's a great game. I think it's a lot of fun. And even in my review, I said my only complaint was that the armies kind of feel the same. So I have a link to some extra rules that I've worked on, and then I've got a link to the world of Erewhon. And right now, it's just a brief overview of the factions that we've been working on. And, slowly we're going to get... I have a map, but I want to get it made in higher quality, better detail. So as I kind of work on that, we'll get things like that put up. I'm working on a campaign for it. So again, once the campaign's done, I'll get that up. So it's one of those, like, we are world building really hard here. And we're going to use that for Erewhon campaigns, and we're going to use that for role-playing, like D&D style campaigns. And like I said, at some point, we're going to build out a Blood Bowl style game, and it may just effectively end up being Blood Bowl, but with like order dice or cards or something. And once that's done, we'll throw those up here too. It's going to be free for everybody. So if you like it, let me know, tell me, hey, this is awesome. If there's things that you don't like, I'll take constructive criticism. If you want to tell me, hey, I don't like this, this is what I think could be better, that's always welcome. If you want to tell me, hey, this sucks, that's fine. Just tell me why. If you don't want to tell me why, then just keep it to yourself. Just because it's one of those, like, if you're not going to be helpful, I don't care, I will never come to you and look at something that you're doing and say this is bad without at least trying to offer a suggestion on how to make it better. And maybe my suggestion's wrong, but at least I'm not just telling you, hey, this is bad. I'm at least offering some sort of feedback on what I think could be changed. And that's what I look for in feedback. So again, if you want to give feedback, I'm always open to feedback. If you just want to bitch, I don't need that in my life. I've got enough negativity in my life without like the internet adding to it. So, but that's going to do it. I got to do a shout out real quick to Lord Wellingstone and Danny Boy. Again, my immortals for a long time, and I appreciate all the support that they have given me. It has been outstanding. So if you want to support me, obviously Patreon or Fourth Wall, which is where my merch store is, and those links will be in the description as well. And we will see you next week. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I don't mean to skip that. I just got into this and really just wanted to go. So thanks a lot. Have a good one.